A little bit of gravy for you. Turn that down.
Lovely.
It's
Before we get into too much else, there was one little bit I've seen this week again that I think maybe Paul might be quite interested in. There's been a stuff on in the UK national TV, Paul, about the moon landing being a hoax, and Martin Kenny, who I met at the conference, was on. I think it was this morning again.
Yeah, I did see that clip, or a little bit of it, with Dr. Sarah Brosman, a very well-known astrophysicist or something of that nature.
Yeah, it can't be fake because it's too hard.
Yeah. Her explanations were too many people have to be in on it, and there's so many people that build rocket parts and things like that. They'd all have to be in on it, and it just doesn't make any sense in her mind. So that was the end of it. So I guess she ignores things like the Apollo 17 flag being wet, all the pictures of moisture on the moon, all of the objects that you could see in the high-res photos that shouldn't be on the moon, like spark plugs and automotive parts and things of that nature. I guess
car
that
body
just is all
shapes.
natural. Yeah, it's just natural occurring stuff. Not to mention the fact that there's no evidence that the moon is even a solid object. It's a projection, in my opinion. So I mean, now I'm going to blow her mind if she were to hear me talk, obviously, and I wish Martin would have challenged her on some of these things, but. Yeah, we can talk about the moon all day long. That's my favorite subject. I think if you can get people over that, to admit that that was a hoax, that was all a big production, then they can start down the flat Earth path. But that stops a lot of people.
How many actual experiments do you have to do to become an astrophysicist?
Well, that's the beauty of it. You don't have to do anything. You just have to have big dreams. And those dreams have to align with the people that you're going to be working with. And if you all agree, then you can do whatever you want.
I was actually planning on doing an astrophysics degree when I was 20 or 19. I'm so glad I didn't now. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm surprised that Martin Kenny didn't learn from his last encounter with This Morning, Schofield, and mainstream media in general, i.e., why the hell are you fueling these people? Why bother with them?
Yeah, I mean, if I had the opportunity, we can always say, if this and if that, but if I had the opportunity, I would come with I'd come with some evidence that I thought was pretty damning towards all of this being, the narrative being true or believing it, and ask those that are questioning, that I would be speaking with, ask them to address it. How could you explain these things?
Well, this is it. Why don't they talk to people like Brian Mullen or Rob Durham or yourself or Bob Nodal or hey. I'm speechless, quite frankly.
Or people at IRM, others.
So you guys are as qualified as any of us to speak to some of this garbage.
I wouldn't talk to them if my life depended on it, quite frankly. Why go dance with the devil if you know what it is and you know what they're on about? I mean, screw them. Mainstream media is dying. It's dying a death. It's built on foundations of crumbling sand, and it's soon to be revealed. But I am interested, Adam, in the fact that RT had a poll as well of the Russians saying that only 24% of the Russians believed the American moon landings were real. And then followed by the British one saying 52% of us thought that it wasn't real either. Not that I hold any sway in mainstream media polls, but I mean, you'd have to be brain dead and living under a rock not to realise that the flat Earth thing is not a flash in the pan. It is growing exponentially, and it's just a matter of time. And that's why I think these articles are coming out, because they are pre-programming us to accept that most of the people around you don't think the landings happened, and wherever that leads on to. I don't know what your feelings are on these.
Well, I think the moon landings are definitely a key cog in the wheel, and they know that they can't keep that going forever. There's some serious problems with it. They didn't do a very good job. You could pick holes in it all day. Anybody, can look at all the problems with it, and how the impossibility would be. Just simple math and physics, about how much fuel would be needed to get that far, and some of those things.
I mean, it's dear to my heart, because it was one of after 2001, 9/11, I was thrown into a tailspin as to what to believe and what not to believe, and I thought, okay, well, I'd rather than not believe anything. So I thought, I'm going to pick one subject and drill into it like no one else has, or like someone else has. But 3 years later, it was the moon landings that I decided that's what I'm going to look into. Is it real or isn't it real? Other people choose JFK or 9/11 itself or whatever. And after 3 years, it was astonishingly obvious that it was a fraud, a fake, a hoax, whatever you want to call it, a money grab. But I never knew why. And it was a few years later that the flat Earth came out, and the reason why, it pretty much took me 20 minutes to convert to flat Earth.
Connect the dots.
Exactly. It was just like bang, 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 bang. And I've said this many times, like a Tetris game. When everything lines up and it's just like boom, 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 and it all makes perfect sense. It's the moon landings for me were the stepping stone to realizing why they had to fake it, basically. I don't know about you guys.
I think, well, just to echo that, I think we as a people, see this more and more, have problems changing our minds based on new information unless we feel like we understand it fully. We can't just look at some evidence and then start to question it from there. It's like a detective stepping over a dead body and saying, unless I understand the motive, we don't have a dead body.
Yeah,
we don't have it. We have to understand that even just finding one problem with the Apollo moon missions would be enough to question the whole thing. It should be airtight. If they did what they are telling us they've done, then there'd be no problem for them to provide the evidence to show us that. But even just there being one problem should cause somebody to question it. But I think that's the issue, is that we feel, just like Dr. Sarah Brosman so eloquently said to Martin and to the listeners of that show, was that if we don't understand the why, and it's too big of a conspiracy, then they just throw all this evidence out the window and say, well, I must not understand it then. It must be physics and math, and it's rocket science, and I don't understand it, so therefore it must be true.
Yeah, and the fact now that I've seen so many articles that are coming out on, from mainstream, RT, This Morning, ITV, or whatever they want, questioning the moon landings and other things like Yuri Gagarin in space and that nonsense Tesla car. It looks so real because it's so bloody fake. It harkens back for me to. It affirms to me that this was meant to come out. I'm not saying that it's not real or anything. That's the clever part about it. It is real. The flat Earth, the stationary Earth, is real. But it was all meant to come out, as far as I can see.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that those that are behind the continued propagation of the deception know that it's probably impossible to keep that up forever. So is it a controlled thing? Is it slowly going to be coming out? I don't know. That's a whole other show. Just the why. Again,
Yeah, on its own.
Like we're talking about.
Big time another show, because I think a lot of it has to do with the very division that we talked about earlier that it's created in not just the truth community, but within the flat earth community too. I think that's a big part of their scheme. Keep us all so all this drama and all this crap that we're dealing with, we shouldn't even have to, instead of kind of like what we talked about this morning with Shane on TFR with the let's all be united and let's try to get this really united front, not just a smile, and then stab them in the back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and speaking of that, can I get invited to that Skype group? That sounds like something
absolutely.
I'd like to be involved
I
in.
did not know you were there. We will definitely have you on that here in just a little while. Absolutely.
I'll bang you in now, Paul. No worry.
I'd like to be
Cool.
a part of that as well. Not that I look at Skype too often, but
I put you in it last night. So
Oh,
you're
right.
looking it up.
There you go.
We'll get every person at it.
Doesn't even know he's in too.
there you go. And on that
He
note,
won't even remember this show till he listens back tomorrow.
oh, won't. You're right. You're absolutely right. None of this is going into my brain banks at all. It's all being formatted as we speak. But on that note, I shout out to Ranty. He was meant to be on the show. Hope all is well with you guys.
Absolutely.
Guy. And,
Wasn't that cool? Isn't that cool for those that didn't listen to Ironworks this morning? First of all, shame on you, and secondly, Ranty, what a great. Just how awesome is the community, the Flat Earth community? That in 24 hours he puts the word out there, and so many people have loved what he's done with his Nikon P900, but want him to expand his his research and the observations he's making. So he's got enough funds now and 24 hours raised to get the P1000. So it just goes to show that there are a lot of good people that are involved, and I think he's going to blow the doors off this thing now. I mean, he's been able to make some great observations, obviously, and the power of that technology, I think that he's going to have in his hands here very soon once he gets paid from GoFundMe. What he said, I think another week or so before he gets the actual funds, he's going to be able to magnify that horizon line even more and see in greater detail. And I always stay away from using the words like zoom or see farther. I think we need to change our vernacular, and we need to say that we are seeing better, we're seeing clearer. Because the camera isn't allowing us to look further. It's just magnifying and creating more detail for us to be able to see, what is obviously very, very far away. It just magnifies it.
And as excited as I am for him to get his hands on that P1000, I'm almost as excited to know he's going to do the upgrade on the P900 to make it become infrared.
Yeah, that's right.
That is super exciting.
And he's going to have both of those cameras side by side, converting his P900 to infrared, and then the zoom, the magnification capabilities of the P1000. That's going to be quite the arsenal he's got there.
Be a powerful, yeah.
He's going to go up and do some. What he said he had some 20 miles, and then he had some even further distances that he was going to be making some observations on. So. It's getting tougher and tougher to defend the globe here with these observations, and maybe he's picking out some flat spots. But like I've been saying, and like I said on that show I was on last week, was like, they got to be making up the curve somewhere. We just flat earthers must just go to all the flat spots.
He said, he
he
was going. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, as per you were talking about vernacular and how we should phrase these things. If you want to get scientific, you could tell them that because the lens is so much larger, the aperture will be bigger, making your angular resolution
resolution, yeah,
which allows us to see more.
Thank you, Zach. That's right. You're increasing the angular resolution to the light hitting your eye, and therefore you're able to see better, not farther. You're able to see better because you're increasing the angular resolution.
Definitely better.
Good call.
But yeah, he's got things in the pipeline of going to Scotland and a few other places. I'd love if he could come down south and head to Lyme Regis or Seaton in Devon and try and use the P1000 on viewing the Isle of Portland, which is a great bit of land that juts out from the south coast of England that I've done experiments on and seen it it's 30 miles away, and you can see it clear as day. And the people in Seaton from 30 miles away say that they can see the it's called the Portland Bill, which is a little lighthouse on the end of the Isle of Portland in the UK, and they can see that regularly at night. So I'd love to open invitation down to the south of England to try out this new P1000 there. But what I would like to say is that this is what I love about the flat Earth, is that after spending so many years in the law air quotes movement in the UK, it's so nice. I mean, most people only get into the law movement when they're forced to. So they've got bailiffs knocking on the door, or they've had their car repossessed, or they haven't kept up with a loan, or something along those lines, or they have their kids taken off them. But generally, the law movement had no money. They were skint, they were walking around bare feet. But that's so much different with the flat Earth movement, is that they've actually got, this isn't a certain genre or a class of people that are getting together. This is across all boards of every person from pay scale 0 to 10, and this is why Ranty deserves that camera, because he's put the time and the effort in to get out there, almost on a weekly, daily basis, and get results. And so I think it's important to point out, and I'll hand over to you, Adam, that he wasn't asking for a P1000. His subscribers and his followers were demanding that he put a GoFundMe up, and because they wanted to give him a P1000. So
yeah, he said he was reluctant at first, and I think Nathan he said Nathan on the show this morning, right? Walt and Josh, I think he said Nathan kind of convinced him, and I mean, he had so many people saying
Yes,
do it, knowing that with that technology in his hands, and then like you said, being able to convert his P900 to infrared. This guy's willing to go out there and do the work. He's going out in the field. He's driving to the coast every day, and he's cut down
and not
hours
only
at
that,
work.
he has taken a cut in hours at work,
Yep.
taken a cut in his own personal life credits that supports
money
him
where his
and his
mouth is.
family. Exactly, to do this extra work. So I think that says a lot.
Yeah, he deserves it.
What was the thing? It wasn't thinking, Randy's going to go and get this, that, and the other. That was the real positive thing for me. It was the way this internet community, we all have the same thoughts that John said, you said, but it was the way that flat power kicked in and we joined together. And I think it could be the beginning of a lot of projects that, if we have the balls to plan and do them properly and show we have the intention, like Ranty's demonstrated, that actually there's a lot more willing and support out there than we were ever aware of. And that's kind of demonstrated by just the sheer rate at which that money was raised and blew the target within 36 hours.
I'm starting to think that maybe I could throw up a GoFundMe and send me to Antarctica. It's going to take about $1 million.
How much would you want to chip in for?
As you guys see, that's if we can get the approval. I
tell you, Paul,
it's ridiculous.
We could have got you there 2 years ago for $200,000. I'm just saying.
But all things being serious, I for anyone that is familiar with the workings of Patreon, etc., I don't know if any of us are, but that's what Ranty needs. He obviously has the support.
Yeah, that's what I told him this morning.
If he's taking
I just don't know how it works well enough.
Yeah, you mentioned it this morning on TFR, didn't you? That he should set up a Patreon or something, and he may be surprised at what sort of supplemental income he could get.
Exactly.
Yeah, in terms of Antarctica, my sister-in-law is going to Antarctica in 2020, and I wanted to shout out to the listeners or anyone, if there was, she's not a flat earther, obviously, but if there was one single experiment, cheap, easy, no hassle experiment that you would want to see someone do who's going to Antarctica, then let me know, because all I can think of is a 360 camera with an SD card.
Here's, based on my information and some of the research I've done, I think the important thing is knowing exactly if she is going to be on the quote unquote continent of Antarctica, or if she's just going to be on some outer islands.
Apparently she's going to the continent.
So that would be based on the information that I've read, is that doesn't happen. That these cruises and is it a cruise? Is that what she's going on, or some?
It would be some sort of cruise. It's going from that South American. What's it called? Ushuaia. Ushuaia, that's it. Yep. And they're going on some cruise, and they have 6 helicopter flights from the ship or something. But they are going to be landing on the mainland. Something. I was just thinking, like a stick in the ground with a 360 camera, self-powered, recording to an SD card, just something that you could just go to the toilet out across the ice field or whatever, just stick in the ground and then come back 24 hours later, because he's going in January, so it should be 24-hour sunlight, and if done on a good day, 24-hour sun.
Yeah. Or at least majority of the time. I mean, I don't know what southern latitude she'll supposedly be at. I'm questioning if they're even taking him to the mainland.
Deception Island.
I mean, you're going to get off of, you're going to get into a helicopter and a boat or whatever, and you're going to be flown. I mean, do they have the ability to triangulate their position with GPS or whatever and look at really what their position is, or is that going to be who knows?
No
who knows
chance.
if that's even a possibility?
They could just be landing on a glacier, on a floating iceberg.
That's what I'm finding, is that these people that are going on cruises, they think they're going to the mainland, but they're going on outer islands, and they're going on and they're so far from the mainland of Antarctica, or the true shore of Antarctica, that it's not really, there's a chance to even go there commercially.
Well, you're the man to talk about this, aren't you, Paul? Because from what I could see, you had a program on TFR quite recently about how Antarctica was out of bounds. But unfortunately, I think I got to it beyond the week, so I didn't get to download it. But that was what was interesting me. You went through the details, didn't you?
Well, I was building on some of the research that Civilian X. I don't know if you guys are aware of this person on Twitter, and a podcast that he was on with Stacy McStationary. So he was on the show.
It's brilliant.
It was great. So he went through and has done the research on give him the credit for it, for sure. But that's where some of these thoughts that I have been coming and questioning some of these things. What I found most I guess interesting or troubling is that not only, you got to have a government grant, you got to be, you got to have a reason to go there and this sort of thing. But if you want to explore independently, these are some of the data points that I took away, and I went and looked at some of the links and some of the sites to, look this up. But if you want to explore independently, I mean, the first thing you got to do is you have a 3-month advance notification form. I think it's 3 months at least. You have to give your country of origin that you plan to leave from. And in it, you are required to provide a environmental impact assessment of what you are going to be doing there. And this is all you have to get, you have to get approval to do this. This is not that you just fill out a form and then go. This is, you have to get approved to do this. And this environmental impacts assessment, this is what I want to look into further, is that it's going to cost, and I don't know who you have to purchase or pay somebody again, some government organization probably
The
to
UN, I imagine.
to do some sort of assessment, and it's going to cost you between $250,000 to $1 million to have this assessment done on what you plan to do there and what that impact is going to do to Antarctica.
Now, again, as though swimming pools might be reality in where you're coming from, $250,000 to £1 million worth of environmental assessment here is not really a thing.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the point is that, even if you did want to go and had a good reason to go and could get approved to go, that the chances of you being able to financially do this is crazy. So what are you going to do on this form that you're going to fill out? And for me to be the U.S. government, that I have to fill this form out and disclose what I'm going to be doing there. You think I'm going to say, well, I'm going to trek to the South Pole and prove that the Earth is a globe, or try and prove that the Earth is flat. You think I'm going to get approved for that? You're crazy. It's going to be rejected. You got to have a scientific reason to go, and then once you disclose all of the scientific reasons you want to go, you have to have this assessment that also accompanies it on what the environmental impact to Antarctica is going to be at the same time. And then even if you do get approved, let's say that you get approved to do all of this stuff. And all of the other nations that have a land claim to Antarctica, which there's 7 of them, I guess. And I was surprised to learn that the U.S. isn't one of them, but England is. And their largest overseas territory is Antarctica.
Exactly.
And they have the Royal Navy that patrols it. They even have a website that talks about how they patrol it, and all of this. But let's say you are able to get all of these countries that have a land claim to agree, and your country of origin, and you're able to charter a boat down there, and you get to the shore of Antarctica, and you are you have the approval to do that, explore independently. Here's the other things you'll have to worry about. No motorized vehicles are allowed. No sled dogs. You have to carry your own excrement. And you want to go to the South Pole, where they tell us it is, you're going on foot.
And you can't tread on any plants or anything.
And if you step on a plant, you're looking at fines and years and in prison time.
£2 million fines and 1 year in prison.
All of this type of stuff, all of these weird rules and things, no food on deck, no fossil fuels.
If this isn't proof enough of a staged world, I don't know what is.
Exactly. It speaks so much to the BS of it all.
I think one overriding thing that I need to look into is what the rules and regulations are for those that are not signatories to the treaty, to the Antarctic Treaty, and also, once again, an open invitation anytime, any place, come on or off air to Jarl Ahoy, who has actually done this.
Yeah.
People familiar with Jarl Ahoy?
Oh yeah.
But yeah. I mean, these rules only apply to those countries that are signatory to the Antarctic Treaty, which is not every country. So I'd be interested to know, whether we could flag a vessel from a non-signatory country.
Well, I think the 7 nations that have a claim to the land there, they would object to anybody going there without their approval.
Well, essentially, they don't have a say in it. If it's coming from a country that's not a signatory to the treaty, they don't.
Then they're gonna have to talk their way past the British Royal Navy, and I know India India is another country that has a claim there, and they talk about their operations down there. So you're going to have to, and there's only 3 points that you would even probably be able to approach. That'd be South America, South Africa, and New Zealand or Australia. So that's where allegedly that's where these patrols would be. So you're going to have to get past those guys and explain yourselves.
Well, I'd like to think they could leave from anywhere and go to the circumference to anywhere, but like I say, Jarl Ahoy did this, and he actually had a vessel that was registered in a non-signatory country, and he yeah, it still ended up in hot water, big time. Not literally, obviously. Sorry, Adam.
I was just going to make a flippant comment. Someone popped in there. I often wondered as a kid why the hell we sent the whole entire Royal Navy to go and rescue 50 people and 1,000 sheep on the Falkland Islands.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
being
Good
as
question.
it's the most southerly point and almost guarantees access to this southerly point. Yeah, I think the Falkland War, which I assume you're referring to,
Yeah.
had many levels of understanding, and yeah,
That makes sense. What they were
Well,
doing. down
love
there.
it,
They had to
hate
just
it,
secure
think
that.
it's right, think it's wrong, but the Gleason's map shows that the Falklands are just not too far from Deception Island, which is probably where most of all this voyaging and hiking and all this other crap takes place. Which is
That's why
the
it's
first
called
lead
Deception
in.
Island.
It's
You're
called
led to
Deception
believe
Island.
it's
I mean,
it's
that's it.
it's mainland, but yeah, I mean there's controlled areas that I think these cruise companies, that get a contract every year with their countries of origin to be able to operate in certain areas, and it's all in lockdown. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, if I were trying to hide whatever's going on down there, that this is how you do it. You'd let people go and tell them that they're there, and you tell everybody that anybody can go there anytime they want. It's expensive, yeah, but yeah, there's no secrets down there
You guys were
until you
talking
go.
about map, the land masses, etc., etc. And I do a little bit of looking into Martin Leakey's stuff and been looking at maps and stuff. And you read the 1412 book as well, where China is covered. The Terra del Fuego is actually situated on the other side of South America, so it's actually on a landmass south of the southern tip of South America. If you look at the old maps, it's part of what's described as the Land of Fire is actually on the Antarctic, but it's now described on South American continent, isn't it? So I think the reality of the mapping down there is be very dubious. Do you know what I mean?
How would you know when you pay a cruise company or whatever, you charter a helicopter flight and you go get taken to a spot? I mean, do you really know where you're at?
no, you have no idea.
You're just basing everything on what you're being told.
And this is why I'm keen to come up with one simple experiment that someone who thinks they're going to Antarctica in January, when there should be a 24-hour sun revolving around the 360. This is why I just want to say, here's your camera, here's this, just stick it in the ground for 24 hours and let us know what you get. I'd love to see other flat earthers do this, or non-flat earthers, or whatever, because one of the people who follows me, not a flat earther, is Marduk on Twitter, who swears blind that Antarctica has a 24-hour sun because his mate went there and it was light for 24 hours. And it's like, I keep asking, was it light for 24 hours, or did they see the sun 24 hours go around their head like we almost do here, 50 sort of something degrees north in the UK? You can see the glow of the sun revolving around your head 360 degrees. Can you do that in the south? And that to me seems like a ball buster or a ball maker.
Agreed. I see somebody in chat talking about going on land or sea to Antarctica is doomed to failure. So this is from Ross Thatcher. So taking a flying vehicle would be naturally what you want to do. And then the treaty speaks to one thing I forgot to mention. If you're a single engine plane, you have to maintain no greater distance than, I think it's 80 miles from any airport at any time, if you're a single engine plane. And if it's a twin engine plane, they'll give you 160 miles. You know how far that's going to get you on this supposedly continent? Not happening. So, I mean, the deck's stacked against us. The deck is stacked against anybody going down there and independently exploring. You'd think that today you'd have lots of folks that would be able to charter a vessel, charter a plane, head as far south as you can, and then go start exploring. Well, there's a reason that they don't want you to just do that, and they claim it's for this pristine environment that they want to keep clean, and you got to carry your own poop and pee and all this sort of thing. And if you want to believe that story, then by all means, go for it. But it's
I
obvious.
reckon there's any plastic bags in the Antarctic Ocean, or do they not?
Yeah, you can't even take a plastic bag, so I guess you're carrying it in your hands.
No, but does the waters not move down that way? Are they all not polluted with the same plastic bags that they're telling us all the oceans are overly polluted with now? So we're super guilty on that. It seems a strange dichotomy that they're protecting this aquatic environment, which is in interaction with the rest of the other aquatic environments. You're not protecting.
Makes no sense at all.
There's some magic that happens at the 60 degrees. Beyond that, then it's pristine. But
what you were talking about there, Paul, is the FAA's. I think it's called the CFA 14.
Thank you. Yes, you're right. It's the FAA rules.
One engine 80 miles from an airport, and two engine 160 miles from an airport, which begs the question: how does anyone ever get anywhere near the Antarctic in the first place? If those are the rules you've got to deal with. Say again,
Adam. Sorry, but there's obviously some secrets there that they want to keep on lockdown. It's obvious.
If you were trying to actually keep an area pristine, you wouldn't take nuclear reactors there. Not with our record. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
But you would take a dog that craps every now and again, and
No sled dogs.
No sled dogs allowed. No fuel. No nothing. Yeah, I mean, they might as well say no food, and you've got to bring your own oxygen. It's just utterly ridiculous.
And if you did make it to the shore, how far is the South Pole from the shore of Antarctica? Shortest distance. You got to do it on foot, and you got to carry your own poop and pee.
Something 800 miles or something, isn't it?
Yeah, you're looking at doing it on foot.
Yeah.
And don't step on a plant.
Don't step on a plant, for God's sake. Or Rockefeller Mountain.
I want to know who's going to examine these things to see if anybody does tread on a plant. I mean, who's in charge of that, determining if a plant was affected or not?
The UN. Yeah, they'll be there. There'll be hundreds.
Who doesn't even include it in their flag?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the whole thing about the UN flag, isn't it? And people just go, well, it's just an azimuthal equidistant. It's just like, well, where is Antarctica?
Where's the seventh continent?
Where's the continent? You're missing an entire continent. Anyway, yeah.
I think we hammered Antarctica enough.
Well, if we're going to move the topic, there was something I wanted to share with the guys from the flight over, and it's kind of apt that you're here as well, Paul, because it was born out of our first meeting with regards to the accelerometer. And I was sat on the plane, and I was just doing a bit of flat Earth reading, and the guy asked me to move up. A guy called, it was a pilot. So he's on the Ryanair flight, but for some reason he's got to sit on this other flight. So he ends up sitting next to me, and I'm reading through the presentation guides that I did, the accelerometer stuff that I did, and with regards to reorientation of gravity. And I could see him looking at it. So I said, do you want to see what it is? Because it's got pictures of aeroplanes, and I can see you're a pilot. So I'm chatting with this guy, Danilo, for a while, and it took him through the presentation sort of thing. And he just kind of went, "You've got me."
Cool.
Yeah.
Got me.
And then he went into great detail of pointing out to me that at no point do we ever nose down. You are correct. I can't grasp how we do reorientate for gravity, because at no point do we ever twist that nose down to realign us. So yeah, it was an interesting flight over. He went quiet after that.
Well, this is why we have so many, albeit not necessarily public, but flat Earth pilots.
There's a lot.
There is a lot. You're not a pilot, are you, Paul?
No, I just play one on TV.
Bob is.
Just a drone pilot. It counts.
Well, I think
No, you're right, and there's some very prominent ones, and you look at the one that emailed, if you're to believe Mark Sargent, the one that emailed Mark, and obviously wouldn't give his name, but spoke a lot about that. And I know in FE Corps has a number of airline pilots that are with some very big airline companies that choose to be anonymous. There's no question they understand that. Just very simply the gyroscope, the attitude indicator, all of these things. That there's no Honeywell Adaroo or whatever they say that's adjusting all of the equipment to making sure that it takes into account curvature and rotation and spin and all that. That's just a bunch of crap, and they know it.
That's right. I mean, they might be able to claim that on commercial jet airliners, but they can't claim that on a crop sprayer or.
Yeah, precisely.
Think about Rob Durham. I mean, he's a helicopter pilot, and the things he's shown us on AutoCAD.
Absolutely. They just cannot. It's a no-brainer to a pilot, or it should be, unless you're a wolf in sheep's clothing. But yeah.
Wolfie in sheep's clothing. Well played.
That was beautiful.
Yep, you're right. And speaking of that, I got my Ireland trip coming up. And that's kind of where a lot of our conversation started between all of us. So we're going to be heading back in October for a couple of weeks.
That's right. Thanks for keeping us on track. That was the point. You initially did the experiment where you took off in Seattle, I think. I'm pulling this from my butt, and landed in Ireland, which was something along the lines of 3,000 miles, and you had a calibrated accelerometer. I'm going to just throw words out there: accelerometer, gravitometer, but spirit level, bubble level, everything available to you, and it showed no curvature over 3,000 miles. What's going on with Tesla's Apple? I've got a real fond spot for him because of the work he did. Something's going awry there. Any idea?
Well, I've been privy to some things, but it's not something that I'd rather not share publicly. Let's just say that I think going forward that things are going to be a lot better. Okay, so I think he was going through some stuff, and we can kind of talk offline. But he's a good guy, and I don't know, maybe got a little sidetracked.
That's cool. No,
I'd rather not say it publicly, though.
Yeah, not a problem.
That's fine.
Just out of respect for him and his family.
I respect that.
Yeah. Good guy. I will say that. And a very, very smart gentleman.
Yeah,
we're big fans.
Super smart. Yeah, we are big fans.
Oh, yeah,
We were just jealous at Tesla, weren't we, John?
electricity stuff.
Well, it was Tesla that came up with the 24-hour
Don't
clock mechanism, which
bloody thing.
I'm still batting my head with a 2x4 every day, just going, why didn't I think of that? It was great. But he also, he seems to be some sort of technical engineer or along those lines. As far as I remember, he took the gravitometer out of the device
out of the
he
iPhone.
had. Yeah, the iPhone. So
out of the phone or whatever, yeah.
He literally removed the chip and then showed that the gravity had no effect on it, that it had been removed. So that just blew my head away.
I think the work that is going forward to build on a lot of that is, I only got a couple more minutes. I'm running late, so I'm going to have to say goodbye here in a couple minutes. But I took on a recent flight a inertial measurement unit, an IMU, which is a gyroscope. Yeah, gyroscope, accelerometer, and a Kalman filter all built into one. It's a real cheap part on Amazon. You can get it for $30. But it measures total angle change over over a course of time, and so you can kind of measure the angle change. The simple fact there's an accelerometer in there. There's going to leave the door open to the defender of gravity that it could affect things. So what we're finding is that it's going to come down to really, John, this is going to be right up your alley. It's going to be a mechanical only gyroscope sensitive enough to detect these things and see the precession and that sort of thing, to really be able to measure curvature. If it does exist, we all know what's going to happen, but to satisfy the defenders of the globe and that a curvature would be measurable or at least observable with the gyroscope under the right conditions, it's going to have to be mechanical all the way.
Is that
I see
something?
before this is over, I can see John on top of his big structure. The rig is set up. He's got his big handle cranking away on his big, huge analog gyroscope that's going to be the most primitive one around. That'll be the one that'll decide this for everyone.
And before all of these ring lasers and fiber optics and all this stuff, we had people flying all over this plane, keeping their planes perfectly level with all of these mechanical devices. And they were onto something, because they weren't adjusting for curvature, they weren't adjusting for Coriolis, and they were navigating just fine, and their planes weren't flying off into space. So we need to get back to the basics, in my opinion.
How on earth did that happen? It's just bizarre, isn't it? But yeah, no, I'm more than happy to see things come back to just spinning heavy objects and precision engineering and everything else. I think that's so awesome. Is this something FE Core has backed or
yeah,
not?
they're continually to work on it. There's a couple of gentlemen specifically that I speak with every once in a while, and that's their sole focus, is getting a hold of these. And I think what's going to come down is they're going to be manufacturing their own gyro it's going to be a beast, and they're going to get it on a plane. And we've even talked about looking at chartering our own flight and what the cost would be, just so that we can control everything with a gyroscope that we know is sensitive enough that would, if in fact there was the plane had to be nosing down, that the gyroscope would pick it up.
Because I know I understand you got to do a runner in a minute, and I'm hugely appreciative of the time you've given us tonight, but there was apparently a pole to pole to pole flight that was going to be happening, and
I think it's still on in October, right?
Yeah, but in their small print, they said due to things that we've been made aware of, no scientific experiments will be allowed on the aircraft or anything.
Because they're not flying over the poles.
That's because
read between the lines, they're not going over the poles. And this is what Robbie Davidson on Celebrate Truth channel that pointed that out to me originally. He found it in the fine print, reading through it. So kudos to him for reading the fine print. But my response to all that is, what a great opportunity if we did live on a spinning globe flying through space, that they would do this flight over both poles, invite every flat earther, and with all their equipment, all their gyroscopes and accelerometers and compasses and 360 cameras, and get us all in the plane and show us that we are just full of crap.
Whatever you wanted to say.
They missed a perfect opportunity for us to debunk ourselves by trying to do those experiments, but instead they come out with a statement that says no scientific equipment is allowed. Well, you know what? You obviously have something to hide.
That's it, exactly. I mean, if heliocentric Earth wanted to put its money where its mouth was, it would do that flight, and it would say, all flat earthers welcome, bring any experiment you want, we can accommodate it, not a problem. But no, they didn't. They said, we've heard that some people are going...
We would expose them.
Yeah, you know it, we know it. And once again, Paul, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I really had a great time.
It's been a blast.
We'll definitely be talking some more. So
absolutely.
Thanks for...
And hey, get me in touch with Knoxy as well, because I feel hours of conversation ahead there. My goodness.
Just don't slow him down on this gravity video.
Oh, no.
Put this thing out for like 2 months now, so don't slow him down at all, please.
I'll wait till the video. You got a deal, my friend.
Then have at it. Then he's going to be working on part 2. So he'll give us a lot of stuff to talk about here, and we're going to go home and do a bunch of our own experiments, just like we all did when we first got exposed to this stuff and started having to prove it to ourselves. I think he's going to give us another round of things to think about and go test, and we're all going to be better because of it. So we're really looking forward to it.
All right, so I got some pressure for you now, Paul. Go ahead and give everybody some of your contact info, your TFR show, your YouTube channel, your Twitter, all that good stuff. Go ahead and run it all.
Let's see. Yeah. Well, on Truth Frequency Radio, Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, U.S., 6 p.m. Pacific. Knoxy and I are on for an hour, so check us out there. And my YouTube channel is Paul on the Plane. Got my website going to be coming out very soon, paulontheplane.com. And you can always find me on Twitter. I'd love to chat up. And my handle is It's Flat Folks. ITSFLATFL. Excuse me, I can't even spell now. ITSFLATFOLKS. Hit me up.
Very cool. Thanks so much, Paul. We're going to have to get you back on now that you've made the introductions with Knoxy and everybody. Now we'll be able to get him on separately and you on separately and really devote some serious time digging into some stuff. I think it's going to be cool. Thank you so much for doing that, by the way.
Can't wait. Keep it flat, guys. Thanks again, as always.
Thank you, brother.
Take care, Paul.
Cheers, Paul. God
Cheers,
bless, mate.
Paul. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. God bless you guys. Love you.
And you, pal.
Wow, what an awesome chat. We didn't know it was going in those directions, did we?
That was fun.
So,
Indeed.
Now that we've got a little bit of time and a little bit of space here, I want to talk about some observations that maybe could be made. Somebody contacted me this past week wanting to come on, and we've been so full tonight with Knoxy and Paul that it was just kind of hard to get him in. And I suspect he's still listening. So I'm going to go ahead and add him in just because he had an idea that I thought was pretty good, at least for a lot of the flat earthers here in the U.S. Where did my Skype go? All right. So,
Well, I hope he's got a beard.
I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you if he has a beard or not. I'm not even sure if that worked. I'll just add him right here. That way I know it's done.
Hopefully we don't have to hack him in.
Well, see, here's I'm super excited to get to talk to Hack because we've been working on building up his little home studio. So
go ahead over.
Roger.
Hack, is that you?
Is this game time?
This is game time.
Whoa. You guys drafted right to the front lines?
Good evening, Hat.
Is that Adam? I can tell.
Man, it's been a long time. Too
Hello,
long.
my friend. How are you?
Let the man get situated for a sec. Take a breath.
Yeah, I was about to make my excuses and go now because I'm an hour ahead of John. But Hack's turned up. He'll think he'll take it personally, so I didn't go now. So I'm going to sit for a bit and relax. But yeah, good to have you on, Hack. I can't leave now.
Damn, my dudes.
The equipment's more sensitive than it used to be.
I was about to do a runner as well. Good
That
timing,
was a good
Hack.
conversation to listen to.
You enjoyed that, did you?
I did. It kind of set me up nice with this P900 thing I want to talk about.
Cool, go for it.
Oh, is the game time just like that? Well, we can banter a bit.
You go ahead. You turn your knob.
Where have you been for the last 9 months?
Doing the same thing I was doing before the first month. Ain't nothing's changed.
Well, obviously the times zones have changed. We haven't had you on here with me.
John, I'm so glad to hear your voice. You got to be kidding me.
I'm glad to hear your voice, man. I've been listening back to the old shows. Been awesome.
I know they were good. Don't let anybody tell you they weren't. We were talking about the
We're
world. being a
definitely
lot
connected,
back
John,
then.
because I was just listening to old shows recently, too, and found a Hack show. Stop that.
That's exactly what I'm going to talk about today.
Hey, Hack,
That
do
is-
me before you start. Turn your gain up just a little
There
bit,
you
but
go.
then turn your headphone levels down. You don't need to be so loud in your ears. I think that might be what's throwing you off.
That's what's going on. I just need friends. That's all I need. Gain up, headphones down. I can probably get my headphones down like that. Then it's gonna lift my voice up because I'm not talking to myself.
There. See, now you're sounding a lot better. Coming through a little bit more clear. You were kind of getting stepped on the way I had to readjust my levels because John pointed out that everybody was always stepping on me, so I had to fine tune a few things to make sure that it didn't happen anymore.
Is that,
All right, so
that
turn my
what you
gain
did?
up and my headphones down.
Correct.
I think
And
my
if-
headphones are still too loud. That's what it is. I have to talk and adjust it while I'm talking, and then turn it down until.
And if you're
Go
getting
ahead.
too much ambient noise, if you're getting too much keyboard click or mouse clicks or whatever that is, turn your gain down a little bit and then just turn your levels up, your main level up.
I'm getting a lot of that too, aren't I?
Maybe a little bit. Again, watch your level lights there on the right-hand side. As long as when you talk, you are in the yellow just before you get into the red. You don't want to be into the red, but you want to be at max yellow.
It is super sensitive. It's not going up to the yellow for me, but if
Well, then you need to adjust either your gain or your main levels. And if it's too loud in your head, turn your headphones down. Really, my headphones, when I had my headphones plugged into that mixer, when I had that mixer, my headphone was at like a 1 at best.
yeah, it's got some juice.
It does have some juice. That phantom power really boosts a mic. You'd be surprised.
You can't even see it here. It's like a ghost.
Hey, hold on. I get the impression, like you said, Josh, you've been setting Hack Man Beer up with a mixing deck or something. Is that right? You've been setting him up?
He called, asked for some suggestions, said, hey, I want to improve sound a little bit. What would be the best way? So we just kind of walked through some price points. What would be the best, cheapest way to do it? And shoot, what was that? Like almost 2 months ago now.
Dude, it almost cost nothing either. It
I know
wasn't expensive.
it wasn't expensive. You'd be surprised just how cheap it is. It really doesn't take much. With a little bit of power you've got there. Yeah.
Had I been so clear on how easy it would have been within the budget, I would have a little bit of a different plan. But I was so concerned about just basically these two things that when they came through so easily.
Yeah, welcome to my world. That's why I have 2 mixers now. I went from that one to one that's about 3 times bigger.
I could knock the headphones down low enough. Wait, that might be better. I can hear my own voice over my headphones. I'm my own voice. There.
That's normal. I'm like, I hear my own voice. I monitor
And
my
I can
own.
barely hear you guys.
That's because we're not talking.
No, when you do talk.
Yeah, that's no good.
When you do talk.
Well, we can hear you perfectly. Tell us all about the P900 or what.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I have this thing I want to read that I did up because what came up this week. And so the preamble's just going to be like 5 minutes.
Your audio is just a little hot. That would be a pain in the ass here.
I'll be talking.
Maybe move back from the mic. There you go. Just to take about 2 or 3 inches off the distance from your mic. Just pull back a little, and then try.
I think maybe my gain's too high because I'm not even talking out loud. Okay, how's that?
Sounds sweet. Sounds like you're whispering to me under a bed.
Yeah, I can barely even hear you guys. So,
I'm going to have to interrupt, boys. It's 2:30 here, and I am going to have to hit the sack. I've got a busy day with the kids tomorrow. Early start for the beach. So, guys, it's been a pleasure as always. Hack, you got to come earlier, bro. You got to come on earlier. But I'm going to head to bed and listen to you guys have a chat. But it's been a pleasure, and God bless. Good night, y'all.
Adam, cheers, guy. Have a good holiday.
Good night, Adam. Love you, brother.
Sleep well. Adam. Love you, Adam.
Thanks,
Enjoy your time, man. Later on.
We had someone in chat before we get off into anything else. We had a lot going on with Knoxy and with Paul on the plane. But someone in chat had asked earlier, how do we explain seasons on a flat Earth? Does anyone want to go there real quick for them, or I can just pull up a Gleason's real quick and demonstrate? Actually, I have one on the wall behind me. Well, I'd have to move my camera to do that. But anyway.
I think you should tackle that. Well.
Okay, so here's the deal. Let me go to my screen here. Hold on. All right, I'm going to crash my computer just for you, my friend. Okay, there in chat. If you see my screen yet, can you see my screen yet? Are they seeing my screen yet? Is anyone seeing my screen yet?
I don't see your screen.
Share screen. Share screen. Okay, I'm sharing. It should be.
I'm not seeing it.
Apparently, I'm not doing it right. Let me try again.
There it is. I see it now.
Aha. Okay, there we go. All right, now, is everyone else in YouTube land seeing my screen?
Oh, yeah. I guess I could check. Yes. No, you're good.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it
here
looks
we
gorgeous.
have the equator. Here is the equator. Now, here we have, is it Capricorn here? I can barely see these lines, even though this is a really good version of the map. My apologies. Anyway, here's a long story short. The sun travels, actually this way, sorry. Round and around she goes. And for a little while, she's more around this part. And that's when us up here in the North American continent have our lovely little summers. Then it starts cycling out further and it hits that equatorial area again for a little while. And then it heads on out to the Capricorn area. And they have their summers. Meanwhile, we're freezing to death over here in the North American region. And then it works its way back across the equatorial range, back over here to Cancer. And I probably got them backwards. And we're having summer again here in North America. So that is how seasons occur with the current maps and ideas and theories we have in a very quick nutshell. My friend there on chat, I cannot see your name anymore. Terry Jidge. Thank you.
Or that is definitely one way that it could be explained.
And that is just a simple, quick explanation. A whole other theory would be, well, you get into all that stuff we were talking about earlier, pressures and gases and electromagnetic excitement of those gases and different frequencies and
You know what's fun?
things to do with eclipses that might have to do with those energies and yeah, just all kind of stuff.
And it's cool to think about all the different ways that seasons might
I
work.
love thinking. This is science. We're thinking.
Well, that's when, besides thinking about all the ways that this might work on a flat Earth, the next best thing to that provides the most entertainment is to ask a baller how seasons work on a ball Earth, and then let him explain it, and
Yeah, I
just
love
get
that.
point and laugh. That's always a good thing. Always a great way to have a conversation.
Well, when they do offer that explanation of that 23.4 degree tilt causing the sunlight to hit the Earth at a different angle, even though for us during the summertime, we're 3 million miles farther away from that glowing ball of gas in the middle of fake space. Somehow the angle makes it better. And then even though we're closer to that same ball of gas, 3 million miles closer in our winter when I'm freezing and my pipes are bursting here at my house and I'm freezing, we're 3 million miles closer to that ball of gas. Somehow the tilt, that angle, is making that heat cooler somehow. So I always say, well, let's make a fire and hold a hand into a ball, fist, make a balled fist, and then start easing it towards that fire, and then angle it at 23.4 degrees away from the fire as you approach the fire somehow, and let's see what happens, and then we'll talk about your seasons on your spinning space pair. But I digress.
So I hope that answers your questions. And if not, at least gives you something better to do than ask questions about how things work on a flat Earth. We're not sure. I'm more than willing to say, hell if I know. Hey, what do you get when you cross an elephant with a rhino?
I don't know.
Hell if I know.
Anyway, man, it's getting late. I'm getting delirious. Perfect time for Hack to show up.
Well, I wanted to say that we touched on Ranty, and I didn't really get a chance. I've been trying to deal with production and other stuff that I'm not used to dealing with. I've gotten so damn rusty. But I was watching Nathan's channel. I woke up. I even checked his GoFundMe just to see where he had gone from the day before to whilst I slept. And he was I think right at 800, like 860 some odd maybe. And I was watching Nathan's live stream, and they were talking about it, and Nathan was giving a play-by-play. So as soon as he hit his mark, Nathan told us, and I got a little pressure in my chest, I got to say. I was really surprised at the support by Flat Earth. I expected a lot more detractors out there just trying to badmouth and belittle anybody trying to raise funds, because I've seen it. You know, if you have a Patreon, if you're on TFR, you know, anybody that might be connected to not just giving away all of their time and energy to Flat Earth for completely free, if by chance maybe there might be some sort of payment involved, some sort of, oh look, this is what you need to get the things to survive, so here's some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, remuneration for that. And the people get a lot of slack, and I'm not entirely sure why. But when Ranty hit his goal, I got a little emotional. Now, that being said, I did want to take a minute just to do a little bit of therapy here. That over the weekend, my dog killed my cat. Well, maybe not quite killed it, but sort of nipped at it enough to break its jaw. And the reconstructive surgery and the feline orthodontist would have been, you know, upwards of $3,000, and another probably 2 months, at least 2 to 3 months worth of, you know, rehab and tube feeding and all kinds of good stuff with a cat that has his jaw wired shut.
Shitty, mate. Sorry about that.
Well, and it sucks. I was definitely bummed about all of that, but I guess I can blame maybe some of that on why I got emotional, but I really don't think that's what it is. I've seen so many transformations come over people based purely on Flat Earth that can really take some real miserable sons of bitches and sort of soften them up just a little bit. Well, I wasn't even thinking you specifically, John, but you are
But awesome. You are a great example. Crusty bastard.
I'm still crusty.
No, I just thought it was really awesome that they were able to dig down and do that for him, because I'll be damned if that's certainly not a great cause. So kudos to Ranty for doing it, and kudos to the Flat Earth community for putting their money where their mouth is, or putting their money where their mouth isn't. I mean, if maybe that's the only way you can support Flat Earth, is to quietly sit back and donate $20 to Ranty's GoFundMe, because everything that he does helps solidify the Flat Earth in your mind. Cool. But you're putting money out there. You're supporting other Flat Earthers. You know, I was listening to Crow 777, his latest podcast, which is a great time for me to mention. Crow 777 will be right here next week. So if you like listening to Crow 777, be sure you tune in for our particular interview style.
Singular that it is.
I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's always a good time.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get him to talk about alchemy a little bit. I'm excited. I can't wait for this.
Yeah, that should be a really good Spagirics conversation, because that was the first time I'd ever heard of even such a word, was when Crow had mentioned it a couple of times. This was several months back. But then lo and behold, enter Mr. Too Nice for Rice. What was I saying? I was talking about Crow 777 and his latest podcast. See, look, I've already totally gone off and forgotten what I was saying.
I'm sorry about that, Josh. Nope. My bad.
Before you even spoke up, so don't even feel bad. I was something Crow said.
Crow said it. but you didn't get to it, so I don't know where you were headed. I'm trying.
It was on the courts. He was talking. No, it was banks, money. Oh, and now I remember what it was. It was people always complaining about how those people that we don't talk about very much here control all the banks and control all the money, and how they have so much power. You know, those people that came from Khazaria or whatever. And one of the ways that they have become so strong and so powerful, and I knew this just from sort of being on a few degrees of separation from like some major a Jewish community, and they support their own. That's how they become powerful. That's how they become strong. That's how they grow that foundation, because they support themselves. The money stays in that community, and that community becomes stronger because that community supports itself. And that's what scares people. And then, of course, it becomes this sort of huge monster that it is today. That's sort of
Yes.
the banking system.
Because then the Zionists added the wholesale trick, and they got huge profit. So they deal wholesale with themselves and make the world pay retail.
But that's how you can take a individualized niche group of people and build them up. We don't need to build them up in that big, but that's how you do it. You take it and you reinvest it in itself. You keep everything invested in what you're doing. If that's your community, right? If these are the people with whom you identify, and you're going to say, all right, this is the message we need to get out, then that's how you support it. You support it. You can say a lot of things and you can push the message, yes, but you have to actually lend it support, because it's not easy to put up several shows a week. You're talking 10, 12, 15, 20 hours worth of time, energy investment just to do your part-time job that we don't get paid for. But that's how you do it. Just imagine the sort of production quality if we got paid to do this. If we had a producer that could handle OBS and just do the things that we needed done. That way all the hosts, the panel, could focus on the subject matter.
Right, we could just talk and not have to worry about the whole technical side of it all. That would be brilliant. We need interns.
But almost sounds as if we're deliberately shit in order to get some funding. Well, no, we're not.
We're not deliberately shit. We're just naturally
I was going to say, if that was the case, we've been at this whole scheme for quite a while now then. We're going for the long game here then.
We were born with this skill. Lucky for us.
All right, at this point, I've got a butt in. It's knocking on 1:45.
Absolutely.
Hack, mate, can you get in earlier next time? Love to catch up with you.
John,
I'll be
give
on
me
Skype any minutes.
Give Hack minutes real quick to present his idea.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear.
I was on hold for like, what was it, 2 hours? I come in here, you're saying, I got to come in earlier?
That's it. You just got to come in earlier. We'll just throw you in at the beginning of the call. That's how we need to do it.
Okay.
Or we can book you for the week after next, if you want to.
No, I think we talked quite enough about it.
Hey, I'll book you for Sunday night, 8 o'clock. Oh, sorry, 10 o'clock GMT.
GMT.
Sunday night.
That's 2 p.m. Sunday your time, Hack.
Anytime you want, mate. Anytime you want.
On the Savage show?
No, all fair. It's cool. Well, we can record it.
We can definitely record it. We'll put it on my channel too.
Sounds good. Carry on, mate. I want to know what you got.
Freebird.
I was having that experience this week where everything I was looking at kept adding up to something. And then I texted Josh about some idea that came across my head. He said, let's talk about it. Just put it on the show. So my idea is that anyone with a P900 point it somewhere at California from wherever you are and see if you can't see the glow of the fire or the smoke at some point. Ideally, this would probably be from the western lip of Denver, Mile High City. Put a tripod, P900, point it west, night and day, see if you can't see the smoke or the glow. I think that was an interesting idea because you could even go all the way up to Oregon. There's a lot of mountain ranges surrounding
So
California.
California's still on fire then, yeah?
What's that, Sam?
California's still on fire.
Oh, yeah, we're burning.
Really? You seen all these trees that are burning from the inside and all that sort of thing?
All I see are twisted metal and green trees. You tell me.
Houses literally cut in half. I've seen
Next
that
to
now.
green grass.
Next to trees and grass that aren't burning. Yep.
I don't know, but you tell me. I think that they play legalese with funding, and there's a lot of disaster funding, and that's some political thing that could be a reason. But other than that, yeah. I think that they're just free. It's like free burning. What do you call that? Clearing brush.
Say again, mate.
We're losing you. I think your signal's
You're a
getting
bit choppy
bad.
there.
I said I think it's mostly like pre-burn, like clearing brush.
Right, like back burning.
Yeah, like less things to burn in the future.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to displace as many people as they can to get funding out.
And how do you think they're doing it? I mean, we're
With it
talking
directly-
laser weapons or that sort of thing?
Did you see my video? We're gonna go
Space lasers from satellites. Come on, John. Don't you keep up with the space news?
Did you see my little video to show I did? We're gonna go back to the 1800s.
Okay.
It had a microwave weapon on that. You can just shoot microwaves.
Well, I remember, I mean, not the 1800s, but back
No,
in
that was the name of the
antiquity, where they were using parabolic, like shields to burn up boats that were coming into ports. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, absolutely it does.
Yeah.
I've read many things about that
Yeah,
back in the
I'm
day.
sure Walt saw the video and he was looking at that stuff. There's microwave things that can fly like on a drone, and they can just shoot microwave to the ground. It would have less effect on living things than it would metal. You know, like if you put silverware in a microwave, I suppose, if you put a plant.
Okay.
So the-
Absolutely.
Coming across a bit choppy there.
Yeah, you're still
Still
chopping it out, man. Still chopping up. Even though you sound better when you're good, it just doesn't stay good.
All right, let me just make some adjustments. Is that better?
Yeah, it does sound a little bit better, yeah. But
I
is
think
that
that-
something along the lines of, I can't remember what it is, but they've got, not atomic bombs or whatever, but they've got bombs that will take out living matter, but not the structures. Am I way off track?
No,
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Not hydrogen. Damn it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember what it's called either.
No, I
Did you
can't.
guys ever look into the destruction of St. Petersburg?
I actually have a PDF on that very thing.
Yeah, well, there's an idea that it was a weapon that was like an orb that just floated into town one night. And of course, it was in 1912 when they did a major overthrow of the world.
See, that's not the PDF I have. Go ahead.
Accommodate them to, us. And St. Petersburg was destroyed in a single night. And it was apparently, the capital of the world at that point.
That's interesting.
The thing I've got, a PDF, is a kind of a breakdown of the very few images and things that are coming from allegedly
Well, apparently it was like a
and it
white
seems
marble
like-
city, something fantastic.
Right, but the pictures just seem to be very doctored and just almost faked, like what we're looking at with NASA and everything now. I don't know. I'll have to find that PDF. It's buried in 1,000 files. But yeah, directed energy weapons. Thank you, P9. P1000. Sorry, he moved up his channel apparently. Nice.
That's Sandra.
Her channel. That's Sandra. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. Sorry, I just was thrown off by the new name. Love it. I love it. But apparently, directed energy weapons. We've got the quick answer. Man, I'm hearing a lot of issues with my sound. Is anyone else hearing that?
Yeah, getting that too, big time. Somebody doesn't want this transmission to happen.
I had just turned my camera on. Maybe that was what it was. So I turned it back off. Maybe that's just effing with the bandwidth too much. So off it stays.
Oh, you thought since I had it back on,
right, exactly.
after it's doing stuff, you might ruin it too.
Mm-hmm.
Good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. Advertise for the radio show.
You haven't got your camera on, Zach. Hack, have you?
No.
Me, camera?
We've seen as much of hack as we've seen of you, son.
I was about to say.
I'll tell you what.
You're a wise
I'll tell
man.
you what. Savage, here's the deal. You want to see me? You want to take a look? When I approach, I'll cover your face, but when I walk away, I'll let you look at my hind parts as I run away.
He's gonna run up and put his hands over your eyes and say, "Guess who?"
You can watch me do my championship drop away from you.
Man after my own heart.
No, yeah, one day you may not. But I promise you, if you ever do, you're gonna think you knew me forever.
Man next door, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I am getting funny sound. Are you guys getting funny feedback?
I'm getting funny feedback.
I think it just is going around. Everybody gets a little taste of it because now I sound fine to myself and you guys sound fine, but apparently you're getting the feedback. So have a taste.
It's like a
It's
bad
probably telling me
virus,
it's
isn't it?
time to go. It's been almost 4 hours almost. Well, 3.5 for sure. Yeah, 3.5. My goodness.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to shoot here.
Definitely have to get in here for a whole night of just hackiness, sir, and not tacking you on to the end after much energy expenditure.
You don't have to worry about that.
Well, I
You're
don't
alright.
care if it's Friday night or any other night.
Or just any night to hang out and yeah, man, miss those days.
I'd love to
Big time,
catch up
man.
with you. Love to catch up with you.
Speaking of missing old days and good times, I got a phone call this week
Oh wait, what?
from Canada.
Get the hell out of here!
A real live phone call, not Skype, not a text message, not
bet.
Hangout, a phone call.
You better get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, man. Jimmy boy is doing good. He told me to tell everybody he misses y'all. He loves y'all. He's got some of his stuff working better now as far as computer and getting set up with his stuff. So one night when we have some free time, he's going to come hang out and talk to us.
So yeah, I saw Jimmy on Twitter.
Yeah, he was actually on the chat earlier for a little while, way earlier in the show. I saw him in chat as well. So shout out to James as well. And
Shout
Rob
out
was
to
there
Rob.
early, and said he might try to pop into the show, but I haven't seen him pop back around yet. So
Yeah, that's who I want to hear from.
I know. Yep.
I even got his little
Just
nameplate.
the Flat Earth.
I built nameplates for everybody so they could see it.
Oh, Flat Earth. Yeah, so I was only going on. I was watching these videos this week, and I got to this thing about Black Sabbath and Walt Purgis, getting into the lyrics like we used to get into, and it was a total trip. And I ended up getting near this topic about what it was like before the flood.
Damn it! Now he's gone again.
And
And your connection's
it was-
good, Hank.
Can you not hear me?
What? You're choppy.
I'm choppy. You're
Mhm.
choppy.
You're choppy.
Who's on Wi-Fi here?
It's
I'm
got
on
Wi-Fi.
I am.
Connection I have. Watch my Wi-Fi.
I'm not even on Wi-Fi. I'm on my cell phone's data package limit.
You sound like
whatever.
you're on analog.
Man, you sound
Yeah,
great, Zach.
Yeah, what the heck, dude?
You're transmitting on the ether.
I can't hear you guys at
Got that
all.
wine cleft tower going.
All right.
Maybe I should add Zach Hack to the call and see if that takes the load off of you, or
I don't think that's going to do it. My guess is it's his sound settings.
Oh yeah.
His call volume is too low. So he either needs to turn up his main mix on his mixer.
it doesn't sound like a sound issue what I'm hearing. It sounds like a
Well, if he's
signal
not-
issue.
if it's getting too loud, it's gonna just compress him down. What the hell's the word I'm looking for, Walter? You're
No,
the radio.
that's it. You're right there.
That's it.
Oh, there you go again. I start talking. You must have a button.
I've got a foot
Just the
pedal for
Google
each of
button.
you.
Every time you start talking good stuff, they press that button. 5G is going to fix it all, Belu said. Thank you, Belu. We appreciate it. I bet Belu brought 5G to the world for us. From a
Right.
bush to your phone.
Guys, I can't stick around any longer.
I know. I'm
I gotta go.
Love you,
All right.
brother. Take care.
Thanks, John. Sleep well. Love you. We'll talk to you next week or later this weekend.
And you. Cheers, Hack. Cheers,
With
Walt.
pleasure, John.
Cheers,
Take it
Zach.
John will talk.
Cousin.
Cheers, Josh. Yeah, anytime. What?
Night, cousin.
Yeah, night, cousin. Take it easy, bro.
Later.
Brother, bloody hell. Said it. Good night.
And good night to Sandra as well.
Good night,
Sleep
Sandra.
well. Have
Yes.
sweet dreams and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yes, I'm going to
Good
go
night.
sub to your new channel right now since I blew it all earlier. Boom, I am number 60 subscriber on P1000 Cool Pigs. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Oh, you're waiting till the show is over and then you're going to go subscribe, right?
Yep. Yep.
All right. Tell me something awesome before I have to go, Hack.
Oh, I don't. That's awesome. That that's for you, bro. Sleep well. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're feeling good. Hope you're taking your vitamins, saying your prayers, being a good hope maniac.
I'm trying.
But let's hook up on the telephone, Skype, something like that. We'll also have
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, absolutely. Everybody in chat, thank you all so much for keeping it lively as always. And thank you everyone for sharing, thumbs up, and subs. And we love you all. Thank you, thank you. I have to go. Paul on the plane, amazing. Knoxy, amazing. After you finish the video, as I promised Paul on the plane, finish your video. And then we need to hang out and chat, brother. Loved it. Everybody else that helped and was here, love you all. I got to go.
Walt, you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Sleep well, kiss the fam, let them know we appreciate them lending you to us
Absolutely.
Fridays.
And the family on your end as well. Thank them for letting you do all the madness that you do on the running madness week that you have, my friend. Thank you all. Thank you so much. And thank them all for me.
Definitely.
Alrighty. Love you all. Bye.
All right, see you later, Walt.
Love you, man.
And this is how the sound slowly but surely improves.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what a major issue was we had about 12 MFers on this call.
Mm-hmm.
That will seriously screw with it. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe we just need to have other people add people to the call. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe if I do it on my computer, I don't know. I can't imagine that has that much effect, but maybe. Maybe it does.
I think you got a button.
I told you I have foot pedals.
You got a wah-wah pedal.
I got a half dozen of them, one for everybody.
Got the hacksaw pedal.
Play it like an organ.
A Hammond B3 Piper. Yeah, that's actually what I was talking about. Lord of Pipes.
I think I saw that movie. Wasn't that
What
Gabriel?
time? The Lord of Pipes. Is
Gay
that a
porn.
movie?
Gay porno.
That's gotta be.
Pretty sure. If it's not, it should be. Anybody out there making gay porn? There's the title for your next movie. Lord of Pipes.
Yeah,
Got him.
if you need help getting a cure for your porn habit, ask me. I can cure you in 30 seconds flat.
30 seconds flat. All right, give it to us.
No, don't do it privately. Find me on Twitter at manbearded. DM me. I'll tell you how.
So I don't know if John is still there, but he's definitely still recording. So I'm going to take a minute and play something for John's special. You shush. You're just supposed to be quiet and enjoy this. I don't need you speaking up.
I am here. I'm laughing my ass off. I just can't speak.
I thought you were gone, Savage.
I've gone metaphorically. Metaphysically. I'm not
Don't
here.
worry, I'm still over here adjusting my levels. I can't hear anything.
I'm now gone.
All right. Well, here, I just kind of. You had something you wanted me to read earlier, and I know you're such a fan of me reading. I was almost going to read this, but then thought better of it and thought, screw it.
Oh, please read it.
But I can just play it. I've got a guy doing it, all the work for me. He's already done the whole reading and recorded.
Even better.
That's what I thought.
If, by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose, and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except will, which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Love it. Love it. That took me by surprise. I thought you were going to play the...
Read Einstein?
No, Isaac Newton.
Isaac Newton.
Calling gravity absurdity. But from that, the one line that I take away is, don't deal in lies, my son. And I completely concur on that note. Hack.
Goodbye again.
I'd like to catch up with you as soon as, whenever, on or offline, it'd be good. But, yeah, don't deal in lies, my son. Then you'll be a man. On that note, good night.
Good night, John. Thanks much.
Savage.
I forget you're there, Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and Hank are just cruising.
Yeah.
I saw a bunch of dragonflies earlier. I came by to see if they were still here. They were gone.